But I think that I wanted to just pinpoint, to like pin on the wall, that those initial stages, right, of the path, where there is the crossing of the threshold and there is the ordinary world, and then something that begins to whisper or awaken you to a different possibility, and the crossing of the threshold. This whole stage here is what we call initiation, right? It's an initiation into another way of living and being. And if you think about most indigenous cultures who have held on to the wisdom that we have thrown away, they offer rituals and initiations at various points throughout life, right? As people evolve and grow. The best form of initiations that we see remaining in our culture are maybe at best like a 16th or 18th or 21st birthday, and it's totally bastardized, right? It's like, oh, I'm 18, let's go out and get drunk in a limousine because now I'm legally allowed to drink. That's the shadow form of the lack of ritual, right, of initiation. So as teenagers, or maybe like a bar or bat mitzvah or a communion or something of this nature. But they, even within religious settings, they've become very dried out, you know? They don't have any of the grit or the magic that original initiatory ceremonies that were seen as a necessity, you know, within the human journey, a girl's first bleed. And they go through incredible rituals. Like there's one, I can't remember where. I can't remember where this community is, but there's one indigenous culture when the girls bleed for the first time, like the whole community come together for 4 days, and she doesn't, they sing and they dance for 4 days, and she is not allowed to consume anything but water for 4 days. And so it's a ritual, right? It's a test. Like the Aboriginal boys who are sent on walkabout at, I think it's like 14 years old or something. They're put through trials, they're put through tests. Why? It's not about cruelty. It's about giving the young person an opportunity to prove their adulthood. Because isn't that what we want to do as youths? And do you see how that emerges in an incredibly dangerous shadow form within our culture? Because we are not allowed to begin to prove our value as adult members of our culture, we begin to self-initiate in very dangerous ways. You know, we have sex with dangerous people in dangerous places. We take ourselves to dangerous places and do dangerous things to put ourselves through trial and test because the adults won't allow us. Yeah, they won't hold it for us. They won't create that ritualistic initiation for us. And so initiation, this idea of trials and tests, moving us and evolving us as we go through our human journey between an in-breath and an out-breath, a birth and a death, a literal birth and the death, is very, very natural. But it occurs not just at these key moments throughout our life. Initiations occur spontaneously all of the time at moments when our soul is calling a natural evolution. Anything can initiate you. It doesn't have to be what Miles talked about. It was like this idea of you know, basic needs being met in some way and then moving away from that safety is true, but can also be very misleading if it's misinterpreted. It's like pregnancy, becoming a mother, this is initiation. Becoming a parent is an initiation. Depression in and of itself could be an initiation. Yeah. Falling into a deep depression would be an initiatic experience, potentially, if it were treated as such. An accident, you know, an illness. Miles did mention these things. He pointed towards them, but I felt like we got too fixed on a certain theme. Anything that ruptures your way of living, thinking, and being up until that point in a major way is an initiation. It literally could be a moment where you are in a yoga class. You might not even see it coming. It could be your first fucking yoga class. You might be a yoga newbie, right? Or a meditation newbie and not really know what the fuck you're doing. Or you go to like some shamanic drumming ceremony at a studio or a yurt down the road and you don't know what it's about. But you go there and you're sitting there of completely random, spontaneous psychic insight into something about you. You could have a flashback of something from your childhood, or you could have a sudden insight into the insane nature of the structure of your life. What am I doing in my corporate job? Or what am I doing in this relationship? And you won't know where it's come from, right? It could be totally random with no prior psychotherapeutic container it just emerges. That moment is a moment of initiation, potentially, and the longer that we ignore them, the bigger the initiatic offers will become. The universe will speak louder and louder. It will tear things down around us. Yes, it will become cataclysmic. And that, that is part of what we're going through socioculturally, a cataclysmic initiation. It's intended. And so what I was trying to point towards yesterday is socioculturally, this is in no way dismissive of the shit show that we find ourselves in. It's not about in any way bypassing the horror of what is happening out there. But I think it is very important to understand that it is an inevitable, intentional, initiatic mass process that we are in, and it is meant to be how it is. It is a natural occurrence within the path, and without it, without the descent, we can't return. No medicine, no elixir, no treasure will be found. In the same way that we individually must make the descent, culturally we must too. And that is what the teaching of the yugas and the Mayan cycles of time and many other cultures show us and prophesize, that the descent will occur and that it is necessary. It is a natural part of the cycles of human, and I would say human evolution, and also perhaps a natural part of the cycle of consciousness on a much grander scale. So everything and anything can be an initiation. And that's important to realize, so that you're always on the lookout for yourself and others for initiatic experiences emerging. Yeah? Invitations to make a descent, to have a journey.